Estongo, Albika, Talladega, Amadowit, Momen, Ijo Ogi Doez, Jo Ili Hajoji Chohochifkidos, Muskogee Edoa, Nakchoga Mahaga, Saho Wijit, and Miko Adotkidos. Greetings, everybody. My name is Monty Randall. I'm the president of the College of the Muskogee Nation. I'm a member of the Muskogee Creek Nation. I'm from the Abika Talladega tribal town. I'm a member of the Deer Clan, and my warrior name is Jo'ili Hajoji. So that was my traditional greeting. I greeted you all, and I gave my introduction in my Muskogee language. So I'm happy to be here today. Very, very appreciative of Emory University for giving us this opportunity to come here and speak and give our panel discussion from our delegation from Muskogee Edowa. So today I'm going to talk briefly about a Muskogee or a Native American leadership model. And so that is going to give a foundation for a panel discussion. So we brought some of our students from the College of the Muskogee Nation, and they're going to have a panel discussion on some topics that we prepared for you all this afternoon. So I'm going to give a little bit on the foundation, and then I'll introduce our panel discussion and our panelists, and we'll bring them up here, and we'll have some questions for them, and then we'll have some questions from the audience or from the Zoom chat. So this Native American leadership model, and so this Native American leadership model is the foundation of what we're starting to see, the works that we're starting to see. So just an overview of the panelists, and we'll get a little bit more into them in their introductions as we move on. So the Native American leadership model is the foundation for the discussion that we're going to have today. It's the foundation for a lot of the work that we're seeing today as we move into recognizing, understanding, and healing from historical traumas. So yesterday we memorialized and recognized the atrocities of boarding schools that took place over the past centuries of our people. And so this Native American leadership model, like I said, sets the foundation for the work that needs to take place. So it recognizes these historical traumas of assimilation, of these policies that were forced upon Native American people over the centuries, from colonization to the formation of the United States, the assimilation, removal, and forced removal in 1836 into boarding schools, allotment era, Indian reorganization, relocation, termination. These are all some of the policies that we faced as Indian people. And so the importance of this Native American leadership model, while those policies were some very specific on the processes that they targeted, boarding schools and education, Allotment Act, freeing up surplus land to be sold and used for reservations. So they all targeted leadership. So all of those policies took away aspects of leadership of our people. And so this Native American leadership model is a way to reclaim that leadership, a focused approach to reclaiming leadership. So as Native American people, we focus on specific areas at times in our ceremonies. And so that's one of the things that we need to reclaim as well, is our traditional styles of leadership through our core values, through our lens of understanding. So that's why this is so important work at the College of the Muskogee Nation, at tribal nations, across the United States is to specifically target our youth and to impact our youth with these leadership models, with these concepts. And so this leadership model, it sets the foundation for an understanding of that Native American historical trauma and later the intergenerational traumas that still exist. It's about viewing these concepts through our Native worldviews. The College of the Muskogee Nation, we emphasize Native culture, values, language, and self-determination. That's part of our mission, is to provide that lens of understanding through our Muskogee ways, through our Native American ways. And so this model focuses on 4 concepts. So keeping in line with our spiritualism, with our culture and our tradition of maintaining that sacred number of 4, just like our 4 directions and our 4 seasons and the cycles of life. The first concept that we look at is character development of core values. We emphasize these core values at the College of the Muskogee Nation of Tlaquechka, of Fachida, Mijolgi, Iyaskida, and Hoboflinga. Those are the core values that we stress, that we perpetuate at the College of the Muskogee Nation, of respect, integrity, responsibility, humility, and wisdom. And so we try to instill these core values and get back to our traditional ways of thinking and viewing our world through our Native worldviews, through our Muskogee worldviews. And so we utilize the use of our language. So character development is the first part, and that's the interpersonal piece of this model. So just like those policies targeted specific areas, they also targeted specific areas of our personalities, of our behaviors. So at the foundation of character development is self-esteem and self-efficacy. And so just as this today, while this is a panel discussion for a part of this symposium, and this is important work, this is also character development of our students. So this is training our students as well to be up front, to be those leaders, to give their perspectives, not just wait and ask for their perspectives, but to provide an important part of this discussion, to be a part of this discussion here. And so that's why we're very thankful to have this opportunity here at Emory University in this symposium on restorative justice. So our next component of this Native American leadership model is purpose. So again, giving that purpose, being very specific. In our ceremonies, in our Muskogee way of life, we do things very purposefully. So everything is done when it's ready. Everything is done in time when it's time to serve that purpose, and that purpose is carried out, and then we move on to our next purpose. And so that's the ideals that we try to create at the College of Muskogee Nation and through our Native communities. These policies that took aspects of our identity and our leadership didn't take all of those aspects of who we are. We've been able to hold on to these aspects, and you can see them in a lot of areas in our communities, in our churches, and in our ceremonial ways. That everything has a purpose, and we have to walk out that purpose. We have to fulfill that purpose. And so that's part of this character development, this personal development of our people, is finding that purpose. And so I feel the College of the Muskogee Nation provides that purpose for our students and for our citizens, and for Native American people. Our next aspect that we look at is community. And so I like to look at this as 2 parts of communication and unity. And so we have to be very intentional at times in our communication and our involvement. So we have to seek out our citizens and our students at times. We have to seek them out and communicate with them and be very, very intentional to include them. And so again, this is very meaningful today for us to be here. We've been traveling all week, returning to our homelands. So this group of students, this is a class from the Muskogee Field Lab. And so we've been traveling all week. We left on Sunday and we went through places, and we'll get to that. Hopefully our students will be able to talk about their experiences over the last week of returning to Moundville in Alabama, to Horseshoe Bend in Alabama, to Ocmulgee Mounds here in Georgia, Etowah Mounds here in Georgia. And so we've built this community just over this past week of communication. Communication has opened up greatly between ourselves and the inclusion that we've had over the last week has been a great experience for myself, and I hope for everybody else involved. So community is a very important part of this leadership model. And so the first two are more personal, and these last two broaden that perspective and take it to that next level of building that community. And then finally we have excellence. And so just as our mission of the College of the Muskogee Nation is to encourage lifelong learners, that is the other piece of excellence. It's about continuing to learn and continuing to improve yourself. So all of these pieces as a whole come together as this Native American leadership model, and it builds strength, it builds purpose, it builds character and core values through our lens of Muskogee culture or Native American culture, Native American language, Native American values, for our own self-determination, for our self-determination of our people, of our tribes, of our college. And so I encourage everyone, not just our students, but everyone, to think about this model and use this as a framework, as a lens, how you view the world. So while some of these are tribally specific, I think these characteristics, these 4 tenets, can also be used in everybody's everyday life. So as you go back to your families and your communities and your tribe and your classrooms, think about these perspectives, these past experiences that you've had, or these past leaders. Use this model as you return to your community and reflect on your interactions that you've had with your people, within your class, within your community, or even your families. So use this model to empower others. And so that's the purpose of the College of the Muskogee Nation. That's the purpose of our curriculum. Our curriculum focused on Native American culture, Muskogee culture specifically. And so that's been the purpose of this trip that we've had. And so I'm going to give just a quick overview of our campus, just to kind of frame that a little bit. And then I'll bring up our panel, and I'll give just a quick introduction of them, and I'll let them introduce themselves a little bit more if they'd like. But the College of the Muskogee Nation, we were founded in 2004. We have 6 associate degrees and 2 certificate programs. So we received our initial accreditation in 2016, And then we received our reaffirmation, and we were on with HLC, we were on our standard pathways. And so our next site visit will be in 2026. So we're on the 10-year accreditation cycle. So that's been a lot of work by a lot of people within the College of Muskogee Nation. We typically have about 225 students. We're located on a 40-acre campus. We're one of 35 other tribal colleges in the United States. So there's roughly about 570 federally recognized tribes in the United States. And so we're one of 35 tribal colleges. So we're the only tribal college in the state of Oklahoma. So at this time, we'll start with introductions of our student panel. So if you'd like to come up, Blanche, and just give a little bit of your introduction.
Hello. I'm so glad to be here today. My name is Blanche Bear, and I'm from Fort Gibson, Oklahoma. This would be my third semester at CMN. I'm in the Associates of Science degree program. Once I get my certificate from CMN, I'm going to continue on with another technical school and get my certificate in medical coding and billing. This week has been very profound. Growing up in Oklahoma, one of 6 siblings, I attended a boarding school in Oklahoma at a very early age. I started in first grade in 1971, and it wasn't anything that me or my siblings would have chosen, but it happened. The trauma that I think every child that attends a boarding school is not something that you easily get over, because we do lose a lot of ourself, our language, our traditions, things that other children were taught by the elders. It is something that I think over the years that we have to acknowledge eventually. And I never really understood or never knew about this area or Alabama or any of it. Never knew about it. It's not in the books, not in our history books. It doesn't go deeply into what we as Native Americans or Muskogeans have gone through. It doesn't say anything about that. So being here this week has really opened my eyes as to what I have missed growing up. I'm sorry, it is very emotional to come back to our homeland, and it's almost like reliving the past that I didn't think I would ever feel, but I have. I do appreciate everything now that our family, my ancestors, have gone through to survive. The boarding school is not for everybody. I really don't think that that should be a place for every child to go to. And the school I went to, we lived there, but we also went to the public schools. And this was back in the 70s. So, you know, and even then, as a child, I did have to experience some, I want to say, I had to experience, you know, the difference between Native Americans and, you know, the other students. And it wasn't very good. You know, it puts a bad experience on a child who's trying to learn. You know, we're just trying to learn just like everybody else. And being pushed aside, even in the public schools, you know, you see that. And as a young child, you don't forget things like that. You grow up with this wall. And but I've come to learn that, you know, I can break down that wall with my own grandchildren. You know, I can break that down with other kids. Seeing kids at the mountain yesterday, you know, and it was a field trip for them. It was very personal for us, you know, and just helping them understand the significance of what they were seeing, of what they were walking on, what they were touching, you know, it should be more than just a field trip. They should have the understanding of what they're being surrounded by, just like I was impacted. You know, I would like for them to feel the impact of, you know, the situation that was happening back in the day. I just feel that the trauma that my ancestors went through is a grieving process. And I feel it today, that the grieving process has not really, it has not surfaced. It is still deep down. And this week has really kind of brought it up to the surface. And it is something that I would like for my grandchildren to come and experience and to understand their history. So I think everybody, you know, should hopefully feel and know that we as Muskogeans, you know, I think we're always going to be trying to heal from this. And I do appreciate the welcoming that we received at every one of those areas that we attended. So if you have any questions.
Thank you. We'll bring up our next panelist here, and you can.
Good afternoon, I'm Jackie Knight. I'm from Apache, Oklahoma. I recently just returned back to the reservation to attend college with the Muskogee Nation. My family was taken away. We are extremely, like my sister here, extremely emotional because in real time right now we are healing, and I believe that when we speak about our traumas, it heals us at the same time. So that's where you see a lot of these tears that are coming from our heart. We want to thank you so much for allowing us to be here today. This is a very, very sacred time for us. It's something that we don't normally get to see. I'm 45 years old, and I'm the only one in my family that has returned. So we are very touched by your hospitality. We feel the love. and we feel the love of our ancestors here. We are very spiritual people. We want to share. We want to talk. We want to be able to coexist. We want to thrive and we want to survive. So I want to thank Dr. Randall for giving me that chance to be here, to share these things with you, to be alive, and to heal. And when I say this is my sister, I just met her, but she's my auntie, she's my sister, she's my family. Everyone in this room is my relation, all of you. Before I spoke, I looked at every one of y'all, and I thank Creator for allowing y'all to be here to hear our stories, to share this energy together for these seeds that we're planting, to see the future and hope and pray that our future generations can do the same that we're doing today so we can continue to heal. We have a long road ahead of us, but I have a lot of faith that we are going to thrive and survive. So thank you for being here, Mado.
Hello to you all. Mado, thank you for having all of us here today. We really appreciate being a part of this historic institution and the symposium that you've held here today. My name is Tristan. I'm from Okmulgee, Oklahoma. My educational background, I've gotten my bachelor's degree from the University of Oklahoma in health and exercise science, pre-physical therapy with a Native American studies minor. You've heard already two of our incredibly strong women, my aunties, the ones that I look up to guide me, speak about different forms of trauma that we faced. Something that I'll speak potentially more about once we get to our panel discussion. There's been a long history of separating all aspects of indigeneity to try and solve the Indian problem. And a part of that, we've had generations taken away from us in various forms, and our children have always been a target. And in a response to that, the Indian Child Welfare Act was passed. Unfortunately, in 1996, my adoption was done in direct violation of that. And so my connections, my trauma, well, we're all tied here. That's, like I said, there's something that I can definitely get more into when we start speaking about the great wonders of the healing powers of the college that we do go to, and what they do for us and the environment that they set up. But that's just a bit more about my background. So I think that's what I've got for now.
Heshje Istungo. My name is Kelly Hobai, and I graduated in the spring for tribal studies in health, and I'm returning for Native American studies because I never learned about like Horseshoe Bend and some of the places we visited. And I went to another college, Northeastern State, which is in the home of the Cherokees in Tahlequah, Oklahoma, but they really only taught their stuff. And it was very powerful being out there, being able to pray out there on our land. I'm sorry, get emotional. And I'm just happy to be here. Appreciate all the hospitality. Thank you so much.
So this first question I'll direct to Jackie. So, and we'll We'll start with some of our easy questions. Why did you personally choose to attend the College of the Muskogee Nation?
To be with my people. No, I am so proud of the college itself. It has expanded its knowledge base and programs that, being from Apache, Oklahoma, and a landowner, I was searching out, actually with the University of Georgia this time last year. I was looking for programs so that I can be the best indigenous caretaker of indigenous lands. It just, I don't know who came first, but the natural resource program with CMN was available. And Mr. Moore here and Dr. Randall opened their doors and embraced me. And it has been a exhilarating and healing and the funnest journey I've ever had in my life, you know, and I'm grateful. So I really don't know, but when I found out about natural resources and I knew it was from our people, I said, it's a go, let's do this. So yes.
So while I was getting my degree at the University of Oklahoma, I was fortunate enough to be able to take a few semesters of our language from my Mahaya, Gloria McCarty. And that it was a part of my healing and my reconnecting journey, not necessarily the beginning, but definitely in the beginning steps of it. And she being a huge part of my support system initially. But I was able to take a few semesters with her, a couple of other semesters with another professor, and then a fire was lit. It was something that I knew innately that I needed to protect with my life, that I needed to dedicate my life to, that I wanted to be a part of for as long and to whatever capacity that I could be. And so after graduating with my bachelor's, there was only one place that I wanted to be, and that was home. I lived 2 minutes away from the college. I had 2 rights, and you're at my house. And I'd heard about their language program, and that's where I wanted to be. And the first day walking in to the advisor's office, Ms. McCormack, it felt like, it honestly felt like when I came home and I was able to meet my biological family as well. When I met my grandmother, when I met both my grandmothers, my mother, my father, my sisters, that's what it felt like. It felt like I was coming home. She embraced me. She told me she was happy that I was there. She told me that everyone on that campus was glad to see me there. And that is the only welcoming that the only reception that I've ever gotten from anybody is, we are glad you're here. Not just on this campus, but we're glad you're here today. We're glad you're still standing. We're glad that you've made it through. We are glad that you're coming back. We are glad that you are here. And that is something that, I've also attended the Oklahoma State University Institute of Technology in Okmulgee, Oklahoma, as well as taken a few courses at the Oklahoma City Community College, in addition to my time at OU. And that's just not something that happens. That's not how college goes. That's not what college is. That's not what institutions are, unfortunately. But in talking with her, we were just signing up for classes, and I had a breakdown, and I told her, there was such an overwhelming feeling of love and hospitality and familiarity. And like I said, I was initially just interested in the language program. And Ms. McCormack, she was so excited. She said, oh, no, we're putting you in Native Studies. You're getting the full experience if you're going to be here. And, she told me, she's like, you know this, you're aware that education is not free. That doesn't happen anywhere. This school specifically, after I signed up for a degree that I didn't even know that I wanted, and I'm so glad for Ms. McCormack. I can't thank her enough. But, I signed up for the Native Studies program so that I could take additional history courses and courses like this, like the field lab. And after that, I was sent over to the library and they told me, go pick up your books. And I was given my books, everything that I needed for free. They told me to go pick out my supplies, that I had funds that I could spend that were provided to me as a student. And I didn't have to go to Walmart. I didn't have to go, everything that I needed. And then on the first day of school, I happened to pass the IT guy and he said, hey, have you gotten your laptop yet? And I said, no. And, it's amazing the resources and the opportunities and the support that are completely unique to this institution, that are found nowhere else, and that you get, that you can't find it. You can't get it at any other university or thing. And specifically, as a Muskogee person going to the College of the Muskogee Nation, it is a huge part of my healing journey in reconnecting and reestablishing the connections that were broken, that were taken away from me. And I think I'm spilling over into some other answers, but I'll stop there.
Thank you. This next question for Blanche, and I know Tristan kind of touched on some of these aspects, but as you see it, Blanche, what makes CMN unique?
Excuse me. I think what makes CMN unique is that, well, being that it is, I'm going to say basically my backyard there in Oklahoma, in Muskogee, Oklahoma. Being surrounded by family. It draws you in. You have a connection, even though, I've never met them. CMN called me, and I just went in just to get information on a class they had. It drew me in. They picked me, and I'm 56 years old. I don't think you can ever stop learning, ever. Life happens along the way. I've been married for 35 years, and I have 4 beautiful children. They're all grown and out of the house, but it's like, what do I do now? I was truck driving before I went to CMN, but when I went back to school, like I said, I went to, I had just enrolled in Green Country Technology Center, which is right next door to CMN. And then, of course, you got the OSU Tech, which is right next door to them. I believe that, we're put in places. And when that door opens, you walk through it. You walk through it. And when I did that with CMN, it's like they just knew who I was. I was supposed to be there at the right time, and I did. And it's just like Tristan said, it's like, Mr. Moore, this office staff, they just grabbed me, and there I was. I went in for information. I walked out with the class schedule. I had to go back to Green Country Technology Center and withdraw. It is a unique school. It is one of a kind. And I've never felt that with any other institution that I've ever attended, ever. You feel like a number at a lot of these other schools. You don't have that personal connection with anybody, not even with your instructors or classmates. So CMN is one big family, and you get that as soon as you walk through that door, from the person who is, making sure, where you're going, to the people who are cleaning, the office staff. It is a place I think everybody should visit. so that you too can experience what we feel as students. They are unique, and I'm so grateful that they are.
What else is unique about our campus is all of our signs are bilingual in the Muskogee language and in the English language. And it's a school for us, but any other people can come. And they just go in depth about some of the stuff that we didn't learn in high school or other colleges about us, about where we were. Like, we didn't know, well, we knew from a map that we were from Georgia and Alabama, but we didn't know these sites existed. And we were happy to see that they're still being preserved. And like as Tristan said, if you don't succeed at our college, it's on you, because they do everything to make you succeed. You have every opportunity there.
Just briefly, just to echo a couple of things that my co-panelists have said. The language being one of the main things. We are at a college, we are learning from our elders, we are learning from our speakers. So I hear my language used every single day. It is used with me in conversation. I am getting spoken to, I am learning. And at every other institution, it's been assured to me that my academic success was the #1 priority. And then I got left behind. I got forgotten. I wasn't needed, I wasn't necessary. And coming to a place like CMN and walking in and having your professor say, and honestly, those of you who know Mr. Herod, Mr. Herod, he said, you're not here for a grade. I'm not here for a grade. I'm not here to grade you. I'm here for you. This is your journey, and I'm just a part of it. Here's my cell phone number. You text me at 4 a.m., I'll reply to you. He had knee surgery, and a few weeks before class started, and he was going in seeing the doctor, and a student texted him with a question. He told the doctor, when he was there, he said, "Hold on a minute, I have to answer this." And that specifically, it really is, while they are invested in our learning and in our advancement in our academic careers, they want to make sure that we're here. They want to make sure that we are supported and are growing as Muskogee people, not alone as academics, not some standard number, retention rate, graduation rate. We are family, we're connected, we're taken care of. Our professors take care of us.
I want to add one more thing, real quick. It's kind of like what the other two panelists said. Whenever I was in boarding school, I lost a lot of those traditional values, those traditional ways, and being there at CMN, it's like they said, we have those faculty that bring it back. They're teaching it. The things that I lost growing up, I'm learning again. It's so invaluable. I mean, you just cannot put words into that. It's just something that I think all the students that grow up in a non-traditional home, they find themselves learning about our ways, where if it's not taught at home, they're going to get it there. And that is very, very, I think, important. So I applaud them for that.
Tristan, let's kind of change directions just a little bit, and how do you see diversity at CMN?
Coming into CMN, I didn't necessarily know what to expect from the student body. Being one face in a crowd of unfamiliar at the University of Oklahoma. I didn't find my community until my junior year, the American Indian Student Association, and I'm glad that I did. I was going to go home, But so not only we're not speaking about just our family of Muskogee people, you know, like Blanche has mentioned, it's staff, it's security, it's everybody and every student that we've seen. And I mean, we have students that come from it's beautiful. We have students that come from nations that are states away. We have students that come at all levels of reconnection and community and membership in their own homes. And so to be able to see a beautifully strong indigenous campus that also includes Afro-Indigenous peoples, also includes, I mean, we even have some students that aren't enrolled in any nation as well. You know what I mean? This is a place for learning. This is a place of community. That is something that I feel like we as Indigenous peoples over the last 500 years have held, that there is room for all of us, that there is a place for all of us, that we want to contribute to the whole. And I think that CMN does a great job of reflecting that, not only in their student body, but all across campus and in everything. There's, I don't know, it's almost, everybody, I mean, we have small class sizes as well, but everybody is included. There's no exclusion. You can't be. We'll grab you up. We'll pull you in. You're gonna be in here with us. Nobody gets left out. Nobody gets forgotten. No matter where you are, who you come from, what you know, what you don't know. You're here and you're valued.
Yeah, some of the diversity I've seen is I've had high school kids in my class that are taking classes there. Lifelong learners like myself. I lost my job due to COVID, and that's why I returned back to school, and I loved it. I'm still continuing my education before I look for another job. And then we had married couples, single people that just got out of high school, and then everybody gets along. We've been on the bus ride, and now we're all acting like cousins, joking and carrying on. But yeah, there is a lot of diversity, but we all seem to get along.
Let me follow up, Kelly. You touched a little bit on some of that. So this next question for you: How does CMN contribute to the tribe's future?
Education, something that everybody needs, and that is a good foundation for a leader. Education, knowing the truth about what's happening, and just that learning our culture and our language is going to help preserve our tribe's future.
This college is providing opportunities that would never otherwise be accessible to most of their student population. It is carving pathways for children who have quite literally, I've spoken, I mean, at this point, we've all spoken to each other and gotten to know each other and everything. And the amount of times that I've heard, you know, going through the school systems around the area, we're told that we won't amount to anything. We are told by our teachers that we're not going to do anything with our lives and we're not going anywhere. I'm so sorry, I'm train of thought, caution. But being able to give those same children and adults who were separated from the access to education all across the board, giving them a place that they can come and not only be free from financial burden, which is one of the main barriers to education, specifically for our people, and also accessibility in classes. We don't have weed out courses. We're not trying to fail you. I think that this is, you know, we've reiterated this, but that's accessibility. That's creating a foundation. Education is easily it's provided me most of the opportunities that I've had in my adult life thus far. And I think that education only goes to provide you more language and a better way to be able to not only express yourself, but understand the world around you. And the students that I see at CMN are proud to be there are proud to be a part of something and have every intention of coming back, giving back. We know where we come from. We know, you know what I mean? We know how to say thank you and be grateful. And that's something that is, I think you will see our return. I've mentioned this all week as well. As soon as I walked into the building, it felt like in the air there was just an unlimited amount of potential energy. It feels like a slingshot has been pulled back and is ready and is being aimed. And you will see us. You will see the difference that this college makes in 5 years, in 10 years, in 20 years. We will be at the top of the nation of tribal colleges. We have such a potential to be something unprecedented. And these students that are here now and our former graduates are only the foundation of that. And they will go so far to affect our future in ways that I don't think I can even imagine yet.
I'm gonna start back down at the end, Jackie, and for everybody, if you feel comfortable, as an institution, how does CMN help overcome historical traumas?
The number one for me is the language itself. I think that is something that has been missing out of my life. It's probably the way that I view it from a spiritual standpoint, especially with the current events going around in the world today and seeing other systems collapsing around us. The most powerful thing that I could do is pray in my language. The second is connecting with our lands, being able to live in this oasis that you guys have provided to us, and a safe place to allow us to learn openly, to feel safe, to open up our hearts and deal with trauma in a safe environment is a huge blessing. And I agree with Tristan that we are at an unprecedented time. And I think this is our time for Native American people. We are ready for this. And that is the truth. We thrive during these times because I think that's what Creator instilled in us. This land, we are tied to it. We are loyal people. And so when it comes time for reaching out, reach out to us. We're here. We are here.
I think overcoming trauma, that grief process, CMN providing this trip over here this week, it is part of overcoming and, dealing with the trauma, the grief that we've all, our ancestors endured. It is, it's very educational for me. It makes me stronger, knowing knowledge is strong, it's strong. It's it helps me deal with that pain. And I think CMN, is doing a great job in the type of classes that they provide for us. Helping the younger generation that come in to the school understand it and know the truth. I believe that many more trips like this, should be brought to surface. They should be able to experience what we have experienced this week, so that it can continue on. The educational part of this can continue on with them and with their their children and their children's children. So it's something that will, that's not ever going to be forgotten, so making these trips here, I believe, just makes us stronger as a nation. And I think it helps us to come together and be there for each other in dealing with our past. So, but we appreciate the openness that you have given us, the love that, I felt that all week long. So, but no.
So this is kind of what I was foreshadowing in a few of my other answers. These are so easy to answer all in one fell sweep and go on and talk about how great the College of the Muskogee Nation is in every direction. Specifically in this one, healing from historical and intergenerational traumas. Like I said, my reconnection journey did not begin at CMN. However, they have been one of the greatest facilitators. In my reconnection journey, understanding who I am and where I come from and what my purpose is, I've not only, my main focus has been learning my language and reconnecting at our ceremonial grounds where I'm from, and those two are inseparable. Our history, our place, our language, and our ceremony are all connected. And going from being a child and describing to my adoptive mother, I used to describe it. I used to say, I can't quite put a finger on it, but it feels like it feels like I'm hollow right here. It feels like there's something gone. I felt that for 17 years. There was something that was supposed to be there. I just couldn't quite grasp it. I didn't quite know what it was. And I'm fortunate enough to have had acquaintances and friends in high school and after that took me to our ceremonial grounds, that taught me the right ways and how to be, and continuing that journey hand in hand with my trying to learn the language as well. Like I said, I'm going, and I'm just this week I sat across from a wonderful young man from our grounds. He taught me so much just in the few short conversations that we've had. And I never thought that I would have those types of connections. I started going out to the grounds by myself. I've been there. And being a queer, openly, visibly queer person, it was something that I had kind of accepted, that I was going to be there and that it was going to be a result of only my effort. And I was all right with that. I was all right with being there. But over the course of my interactions, I have built a family. I have reconnected, reestablished relationships that were meant to destroy my sense of identity that I didn't have for so long. So my healing comes from both knowing who I am, but then being able to also understand that I am only who I am because of the Muskogee people, because of where we come from. It's the only reason that I have any purpose here. That's the only reason that I'm going to school, is so that I can come back and give back to the people who gave me everything. Like I said, I'm learning from my elders. I'm getting information that I never thought would be accessible to me. And it's being given with love. It's being given with intention. They are proud to have me. And this university is, this institution is not only life-changing, but life-saving. I have struggled specifically because of that missing identity with other issues, other things that go hand in hand with being traumatized in a specific way. And this is everything. This is my life. This is what has been tried to be taken away from me that I am reclaiming, that I have found that I can stand up and say is mine, that I've been given a voice and an understanding and a community who will back me, and that I can always fall on. This institution saves lives. It saves lives. It's kept me here, knowing that I could go to CMN was the only motivation that I had in moments of darkness, of extreme darkness, of not knowing why I was here, of not knowing if I would ever be connected to anything. And CMN has been a bright spot in my journey, and I want to be a part of this institution and giving back for the rest of my life, for what they have given me. I owe them my life. I will do anything and everything to see the rest of my fellow peers succeed and go on to do the things that they are meant to do and be the people that they are meant to be and have the connection and the understanding that they do. That's what I want for anybody else who has been disconnected in any way because of trauma. That's what I wish to see. That's what I want. And that's what I want to help facilitate wherever that I can be of service.
Thank you all. We can start to transition to some questions if we'd like, and as we're doing that, I've got a few slides to share as well, and of our campus, and just some of the activities that we do on campus. In one of the pictures, you'll see a Veterans Day ceremony, and then we had the sexual assault awareness, and that's that middle one. And then our faculty doing their part, dressing up for Halloween, being the Marvel superheroes with our very own Mackie Moore, anchoring it as the Hulk right there. And our cultural garden is a big part of what we do on campus, and part of that healing and the work that we do. One of our graduation ceremonies, a ribbon skirt making class or activity, some Frisbee golf, and then as part of a leadership program in that bottom left, we were having a ceremony there, a cedar blessing. And then at the top, we're doing a traditional stomp dance. And then we have one of our treasures of the tribe, John Brown. He comes in on special classes and helps us to carve different projects. So that one is canoe paddle carving. And then we bring in some of our elders from the area and have them talk. And then that bottom one isn't really our tradition or our culture, but we were engaging with all the other tribal colleges. And so we are practicing to go to a conference, a student conference, and play a hand game. So we were practicing other cultures, so that way we could go and engage with other cultures. So if we have any questions.
Thank you. We have a few questions from the chat. And so the first one is from Edith, who says, "Thank you for this humane Indigenous perspective. Can you speak to the governance structure of the Creek Confederacy, please?"
I can, yeah. Yeah. So currently, the Muskogee Creek Nation The capital is in Okmulgee, Oklahoma. And so we have an elected official. So our executive branch is our principal chief and our second chief. So Principal Chief David Hill and our second chief Dale Beaver. So there are our two elected executive officers. And then we have a 16-member national council. That's our legislative branch. And so Randall Hicks serves as our speaker of the national council. And then we have our Muskogee reservation is made up of 8 districts. So we elect 2 representatives from each district. And so we have 16 council members. And then we also have a judicial system. So we have a Supreme Court, and then we also have a district court. So we have 3 branches of government. And so traditionally, on September 17th is Constitution Day, Constitution and Citizenship Day, where we recognize the United States Constitution, but we also recognize the efforts of Native American people that have had on the United States government and the United States Constitution, which actually resembles our form of government. So the United States was based off of Native American forms of government, of the separation of powers of the 3 branches of government. So that's our governmental structure.
Thanks. I think I speak for everyone just being overwhelmed by this beautiful and inspiring presentation. Our hearts are just full and overflowing with joy that you're all here on this land at this institution. As a former faculty member here, it's just overwhelming and so moving to hear the extraordinary work you're doing. And Reverend Avis Williams and I, she's a member of the community here, were able to go through the museum with you and Megan last night to see the amazing exhibition, which I hope everyone will see each other at the Carlos. I did want to ask, you mentioned the governance questions, which are complex. It's something but the other part of this conference, looking at issues of indigenous land dispossession, is also concerned with the legacies of the enslavement of people of African descent. And many of the African American community right here in Oxford feel very close kinship, of course, with Muskogee peoples, and know that their own kin were taken, some of them of African descent, as enslaved people, and have been watching with great interest as the tribe has been exploring, as the Creek Nation, as the Muskogee have been exploring the citizenship status of people of African descent who were disenrolled or denationalized about 40 years ago. So what are the conversations like on the college campus now about this very challenging question about what are the limits of citizenship? Is there a way to extend what the wonderful, magnificent work the college is doing to people of, to Creek people of African descent, Muskogee people of African descent, and to have a sort of, the college as a welcoming place of dialogue at this, as ideas are evolving on these tough issues?
Thank you. Yeah, that is a good question. As far as conversations, it's a part of history. It's a part of the curriculum that is being taught. Conversations amongst our students. I would say, to be quite honest, probably very little on that subject. Within the classroom space, probably more historical, I would say, just being taught on that. And so, we have had presentations from the Muskogee Freedmen Association. Their president has come out several times over the past few years, and we welcome him and that organization on campus to give their presentations and their viewpoints on this subject. Does anybody else want to?
If I may, I feel like the conversations that we are having personally, that I've had with other students, we are dreamers. I see so much promise and so much, and I honestly think that and a lot of the conversations that we engage in are therapeutic, are our way, you know what I mean? We're connecting with other individuals, other peers, and I think that we use those conversations kind of as a source of light. And a lot of the times we're talking about our dreams, we're talking about what we want. And I think that from the conversations that I've had, we're dreaming about the day that we can see blood quantum altogether, completely erased, and looking more towards traditional ways of identifying community and taking care of our people. And so that's I mean, because I feel like we are not quite in the positions to be necessarily, I mean, we are students, and we do have a responsibility and an ability to implement change, but on a certain level. So I feel like that's another reason that, you know, we go so far up and beyond. Well, what could we potentially see? What is the best case scenario? What does this look like if we have anything to do with it, any control? What can be the most healed version of this? And I feel like a lot of our conversations center around what can be, what could be in an idealistic future. And that's been, from the few conversations that I've had with students, that's been.
That's beautiful, and that magnificently expresses why colleges and universities are so necessary in these troubled times. Thank you.
And so this next question is from Charles, and first he has a comment of just, I have ancestors enslaved in Oxford and Macon close to the Okmulgee, and that this trauma steers us all. Thank you for acknowledging the need to grieve properly, and thank you for your prayers to heal this land and this people. And his question is, there's been some discussion of a national park in Georgia along the Okmulgee River. Is there any effort to use this to return some of the land and water keeping to the Muskogee?
Well, when we were at Horseshoe Bend, out there on the battlefield, there is markers marking the Jackson Trail and the first Civil War or their side soldier that died, but there's nothing out on that battlefield that marked any of the indigenous. There's a little plaque at the museum, and that's one thing we're trying, that I personally want to see something out there, because I sat on that battlefield and prayed and kissed the ground of my ancestors, and I think they need to be recognized.
So for the Okmulgee, former Principal Chief James Floyd has done a lot of work in that initiative for Okmulgee mounds to gain that national park status. And so we actually, the Muskogee Creek Nation has purchased some land in that area. And so we are going to maintain that land. And so this is some of the future development, is to maintain that land and to work with the Okmulgee monument now, and as it becomes a national park, to be sort of a connection here in the state.
And so this question is from Mandy, and they say, thank you all for your presence, for making this journey, and for your stories that have so much to teach us all. How can Emory partner with CMN so we can keep learning from you all and so we can support you in meaningful ways?
You visit our website. I've got that information at the end of the slideshow, and I'll click to that. But just our website and our social media pages, and you can contact us. All of our staff are listed on our website, and if you're looking to be a student, contact our admissions office. If you're looking to partner with one of our programs, natural resources or tribal services, Native American Studies, you can contact the degree coordinators directly, or any of our administrators, or even myself. I'm listed on there as well. So feel free to contact us, and I'll scroll at the end, and I'll show our website.
Skugdash, good morning. Thank you for being with us today. My question is to the students. So I also am a student myself. Last year, I was able to go and take a Thana Awesome government course at my own nation's college, Thana Awesome Community College. It was virtual, And so that's why I could tune in and be part of that. And those courses are unique to our tribal colleges and universities. So, and I know you shared a little bit about some of the courses that are offered, particularly to language. But for the students, what is another unique course that only College of Muskogee Nation is fit to teach and sort of the experts to teach? I'd love to hear more about that. Thank you.
Well, we have a class called Land Issues, and it deals with, we have to track back our land to the allotment or wherever our original land came from. And then our Muskogee lab, and that's what brought us here. And it teaches you the old farming ways and then the ways that we would have done things here in Georgia and Alabama. And that's one of the 2 classes that I've taken that are unique to CMN.
Obviously, we've spoken about our language courses, but we have, you don't have to be in class to learn. I really think that just the community environment, you are not only learning the values that are both consistent with what our college identifies with, but who we as Muskogee people identify with. And I'm learning from my peers every day. I'm learning from my elders, my aunties, my uncles, everybody. And I think even just being on campus is like being in a classroom, and is also like being in a living room surrounded by your family. It's incredibly unique. But I mean, specifically this culture and field lab that has brought us here, that, there are many of our students and peers that have, made statements to me that they weren't even aware that, we came from Moundville, that there were mounds here, that we were, that we had a place, and that it was still standing, and that there were, on some level, conservation efforts. And so specifically this class, being taught both by a language speaker and an avid historian, Mr. Harrod is a wonderful professor. I can't highlight him enough, but specifically, it's called Culture Lab, which I've always thought was an interesting way of putting it. But I mean, that's truly, we are learning not only about traditional agricultural and farming practices and things like that, but I mean, we're taking a modern approach, and we're studying soil, water, seed samples. We're looking at how our ancestors developed specific strains of corn and of squash and beans and et cetera, and everything else that we've cultivated to a point of being tradition. And so this class goes far and away beyond anything that I could have ever imagined taking as a class. But in this trip specifically, being able to come back here in reverence and fellowship and family, I don't think that I could have made this trip by myself. I don't know that I would have, and I don't think that I could have. This class has, I've watched the impact, I've seen it. I've gone close to this entire bus full of people. I didn't know most of their names when we got on the bus. We're only 3 weeks into the semester, but I have personal connections with each and every one of my peers today. I've got stories to tell. I can tell jokes with them. We laugh. You know what I mean? We're connected, and that's what this class has done. And I'd say every class that they offer there is unique, but specifically that's something that you should not and cannot find anywhere else. So.
Thank you. I'm going to advance through these slides just to kind of show a little bit of our trip this week. So I added these last night just to kind of. So there's our first stop in Moundville in the University of Alabama. And so we're on top of one of the one of the main ceremonial mounds, and then looking at outside the museum, and there's the view from the top of that mound, and then we're in one of the collections at the University of Alabama. So that was our first day, very busy day for us. Well, they've all been busy days. And here's Horseshoe Bend. This was one of my favorites, just to visit and to be there. We thought this was going to be a short trip there, but we actually spent there all day, and they closed the doors on us because we were there so long, and running around in that field and just having a good time. And these scientists were taking samples of the water and the soils and everything. So there's the battlefield, and there's the aerial view, and then there's our plaque, as Kelly had mentioned. And so we're coming back, Horseshoe Bend. We're going to have our monument there soon, and this class is going to start that. So this is a great trip for us. Okmulgee mounds, and so there's the council mound. There's the museum, and walking around those mounds. That was a really good day also. And then Idowa Mound. So we had the fog on us that morning, and so it gave a different perspective. It was good. We say bothly, that fog came in on us, and and so it was good. And then just some of the different sites. We have a question, a few more. Okay.
Thank you so much for your presentation. I'm Dr. Mary Ann Jacobs. I chair the American Indian Studies Department at UNCP. And I had a question for you about McGirt versus Oklahoma decision. I teach that particular decision in my contemporary issues class, and I wondered if you all did anything special or anything around that decision while it was happening, while we were all waiting to hear the decision in your Native American Studies courses.
At the time of the ruling, I was not actually at the college yet. However, once again, I live within the community, and I live within the community. These are all my neighbors. These are all people that live right down the road. We all celebrated. You could hear it, you could feel it in the air. I know that it's not your specific question about what we learned in classes, but it was every Muskogee person stood a bit taller. We are a proud people of being here and of who we are, but that day there was celebration. There was an acknowledgement and a power in the air and a nod to where we are headed as both a state and a nation, and within our relations to federal government. And it was a beautiful thing to see and to be a part of. But that's like an outside perspective of the college.
So I was very fortunate to actually be with Principal Chief Hill and Second Chief Beaver on that day when we received that announcement. So that was a very special day for me, to be with them on that day. Since then, we actually have some of our members in the audience from our PTK Phi Theta Kappa Honor Society. And so they are actually engaging in research right now to address that question. And they're going to be presenting that later this year. Is that right? So for the PTK research. So we're looking forward to hearing that. And, just other recognition around campus. So I would say this PTK is our first real initiative coming, utilizing research to address that.
Hi, so this question is from Jody, and it may be the last one we have time for, but culture and history cannot be preserved and kept alive without language. Could you talk a bit more about language instruction, preservation, documentation on your campus? What are your thoughts on the survival of the Muskogee language? Are any children in your community growing up as bilingual Muskogee English speakers?
Well, like I said, our whole campus is bilingual, and I believe you have to take Muskogee language to get out of the college, so we are preserving our language. And I grew up in a house that spoke the language, but after I started school, I didn't speak it. Escaped my mind. It's coming back, and I've been trying to work with my granddaughters and teaching them the hunting and the animals, the easy stuff. But yeah, it's very important that we keep our language going.
This is going back to something that I've already mentioned. The model that I referenced was the Peoplehood Model, which I am not able to remember the authors of at the moment. However, it states that to be defined as a people, that there are 4 unique aspects that are all interrelated, and those being history, sacred place, language, ceremonial cycle. You cannot have one without the other. If you attack one, you attack us, and you attack like our history, the stories that we are told, that are taught about where we come from, where we have things, why we know the things that we do are in our language. Our ceremonies are in our language. Our places, when you look around at the funny names that are spelled a little differently, that's our language. Those are the places that we were tied to. It's not something that we just call the place. We learn their name, and we, those are things that we call them in our language. And we have those same areas in Oklahoma, the land that we are connected to, that we have resettled on. But language conservation efforts, I mean, the college not only provides an environment that is continually stimulating for practice. I have, for the first in my life, elders that I can go to and I can speak with, that I can learn from. I'm nowhere near conversational quite yet, but I mean, I can go and I can listen. Beyond that, I'm learning my language. My Mahaya, she is a first language speaker. She's been speaking since she was tiny, and that's something that you can't find anywhere else. I mean, I'm redundant and reiterate myself, but I mean, this is a unique place and it's an amazing place. And I think that there's been a huge effort and attention put on specifically our language. We've, as Muskogee people, we know this, we understand how precious it is to us. And, just due to COVID, we lost over 70 speakers. We are at a critical point in our history. And I think that is thoroughly understood by staff, student, administrator, teachers, everyone, and to see the energy around it and the efforts that are being made only give hope for the future.
Thank you. Just want to mention, we at the College of Muskogee Nation, we do have a online Muskogee language certificate program. Right now, the nation, the Muskogee Creek Nation, is working on developing a committee to start forming a language immersion school. And so, as I was talking to Tristan a few days ago, we're on the verge of something great. There's a renaissance happening amongst our people, and I can feel it. I can feel that language swirling around, and that's what we talk about at our grounds when we dance around in that circle and we stir it up. We're stirring up our language and our culture, and so it's something to mark, because it's happening right now, and I can feel that energy. So I think that's. Do we have one more question? Okay, there. Okay, all right. Thank you.
This also builds on the Renaissance. It seems like the most creative people in the United States right now are citizens of the Muskogee Creek Nation, with Joy Harjo as National Poet Laureate and Sterling Harjo, phenomenal film producer, Reservation Dogs, and so many other things. I wanted to ask how that type of creativity builds into the work that you do at the college, other kinds of conversations that you have with other citizens of the nation that are doing that kind of work.
There's something very beautiful that happened, like we were talking about this period that we're in right now. And being at the college allows a lot of us to be in our natural state. And when I say that we feel safe, that's when our artistic abilities come out. And I've been seeing and witnessing really awesome work, even through myself. I think we're all kind of channeling energy from one another. And the sharing that we have on campus and the thoughts and the ideas and how encouraging we are to one another. It took some time, like Dr. Randall said, there's an energy there, and it's a ride, it's a wave, and we're on it. And I hope that all of you get that opportunity. And if you feel that, go for it. We love art. We want to see your art. We're very impressed with the installation that we got to witness last night. That was beautiful. And yeah, it's a great time. Mado.
Thank you.
Thank you, thank you. It's time for lunch. The middle is going to open up, I think, there, and you can go back and get your box lunches. There are tents outside for you to eat. Thank you. See you at 1.